We're back here on the platform, and we are speaking with Mr. John Ferguson, who is the organizer of Sunday School Rally in the Alley. And we were just speaking of air, and we're talking about President Jimmy Carter, who is a Sunday school teacher even now, and has been teaching Sunday school for many years, including the years when he was President of the United States.
That is correct. And I have something to say about that at the rally. I'll save that for the rally.
You've been in touch with the former president?
Well, I'm telling you, I'll save that for the rally.
Okay, all right, very good. But John Ferguson, let's talk a little bit before we talk about the details of your rally and what's going to happen, because I understand you're going to be giving out awards on the 31st, Sunday the 31st. We've had a bad 2015 with respect to murders in our country. 2016 began very poorly. And as we speak now, we are up to 8 for the year. Things are not improving. There is a level of anger and violence in the country that is unprecedented. Tell me why.
There is a spirit of, a very, it's amazing to see how this spirit of killing among our young men has gotten to the point where they have no remorse, so to speak, in what they do and what they intend to do. There has to be a serious transformation of the heart. See, you can do all that you can. You can do all of the good things and say all of the good things, but unless a fella get that Apostle Paul, that Saul experience, where he is struck down by a light, and he comes to his senses and say, I cannot go with this anymore, I have to change. I'm afraid that it will continue. There has to be a change of the heart. I don't care how you put it. It has to be a change of heart among our young men.
So I made the point on Wednesday past that no matter what strategies are put in place, no matter what strategies the police they come up with, if there is not a change of heart, if you cannot reach the mind of the man, then your strategies are all for naught.
Well, you see, the strategies can be put in place, and we cannot forget the main duties of the police,
of course,
which is the maintenance of law and order.
That doesn't change.
That doesn't change. But how do you control a fella who goes to bed tonight and he conceives in his mind that I have to kill this fella tomorrow? I know where he hangs out, I know where he lives. How does the police know that? He gets his knife or his gun and he goes where the victim is, and he does that. He gets arrested, he goes before the court, whether he's convicted or what, and he spends his time or whatever happens to him. But unless his heart is changed, you have not transformed the man. That's why it is so important for the country to get back to those values and those traditions that cause people to change.
And beyond that, he might be caught and he is incarcerated or whatever, but there are thousands of others whose hearts are not in the right perspective, whose minds are not in the right perspective. And so we have thousands of young men and women who need a change of the heart.
They need a change of heart. So now, how do you begin the process of that? You have to start from when they're young. Look at the rate or the age rate now of youngsters who are before the courts who are committing serious crimes. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What was going on in their life 5 years ago? A young man who is 20, and he commits a serious crime. what was happening in his life when he was 10? Who was guiding him? Who was molding him? Who was building a foundation for him so that when he would have reached 20, the roof wouldn't cave in? You see, when a fellow reached 20 and he's charged with murder, the roof caved in because the foundation was not properly laid.
Right.
That foundation was probably laid with sand and water instead of concrete and steel. There was no prayers in the home. He knows nothing about family worship. There was no one to teach him the Lord's Prayer. He didn't go to Sunday school to learn the 10 Commandments, which one, and the one that is thou shalt not kill. That's the main one now, thou shalt not kill. He probably taught you, don't kill a fly or don't kill a roach. That means don't kill a fellow human being. But he has to be taught that. That is why the message of Jesus was so powerful, because it was a teaching message. He taught the people.
And that is why he said, suffer the little children to come unto me.
Because the problem that we're going to face in the future, we now have a chance to mold that. And we can mold that in so many different ways. And that's why I say the Sunday school, the Sabbath school, is one of the most effective tools in the Christian arsenal. But you have to use it. Any one of our communities, anybody can get together and say, this big canap tree, look at all of those children in that canap tree on this Sunday afternoon. Let me carry 2 gallons of Kool-Aid and some cake and gather them together and teach them, give them a little refreshment. And they go home, talk that. Tell mommy, daddy, guess what? Some folks just been here and they say they're coming back next Sunday. And before you know it, man, you got a whole movement.
And that is how it began with
That's how it began. We began with 35 youngsters in Woods Alley. Now we have an enrollment of over 600 and growing, with new faces showing up every Sunday afternoon with an average attendance of 100 plus every Sunday afternoon. You don't believe it? Anyone listening, come and see it. And the rally is going to be an evidence of, the rally is Sunday and people, the children, they're already asking, we getting ready for the rally.
On my radio show, I make the point from time to time that I am 9.
Yes.
I'm in primary school. And I'm 9. Yeah, 9 years old.
Okay.
What are you going to do for me to guide me and guard me against crime and nefarious dealings? Because I am 9.
You're 9, yeah. A 9-year-old, that's a brilliant mind. A 9-year-old, first you have to call him or her, you sit them down, and you show them, not you tell them, you show them the right way. You say, look, you're getting ready, next year you're going to be 10. Watch out for bad company. Watch out for the boys or the girls who are going to lead you to do things. Watch those ones who are going to go into the food store and put a candy in their pocket that they didn't pay for and walk out the shop. Watch that. And you tell them those things. You guide them. And you keep reminding them of that on a daily basis. And as they grow, man, they will have that ingrained that dishonesty does not pay. Because Mr. Jones told me, I cannot walk out of a store with a candy and I didn't pay for it. That's wrong. So when he get 14, 15, you don't have to worry about him. He may make a mistake, but he's grounded.
You know, Mr. Ferguson, we talked about the homicides in our country, and we have a level of violence among adults as well.
Yes.
Who themselves are angry,
yeah,
and who are violent, and who themselves are not able to teach young children how to deal with violence because they themselves are violent.
Yes.
And we have grandparents now who are in their 40s, who themselves are poorly socialized, angry, and violent. How can you teach something that you don't know? How can you, as the clerics would say, how can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And if you don't know, if you are in a strange land, if you are mentally in a strange land, how can you sing the Lord's song? How can you give something that you yourself do not have? You can only impart what you have. So if you have violent parents, violent grandparents, you live in an environment of violence where everybody cussing and drinking and using drugs and carrying on. That's the environment. I'm 9.
Yes.
I'm 9, but that is my environment.
And 9 is a very impressionable age.
I'm 9. That's my environment.
Yeah, that's your environment. Yeah. How do you save yourself out of that environment?
How do I extricate myself from that? And that is why we have an assembly line of young, violent, misguided, poorly socialized young men and women in our society. And it is found in the heartland communities where grandmothers and fathers did not go to Sunday school. Because we are talking about grandmothers and fathers now who are in their 40s. Not people like us, you know.
Yeah, understood.
You understand where
Yes,
I am?
I understand you quite well.
Because if you have a child or a woman who is 18, 19, and she has a child that is 3 or 4, her mother is in the early 40s, right?
Right.
And we started having the serious social dislocations and social disorders in our country in the early 70s.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So a grandmother now, born in the 70s, how can she dispense some values to her grandchild, her grandson, when she herself did not go to Sunday school?
You make a valid point, and I must say
We are in a conundrum.
I must agree. You make a very valid point, but there is always I would call. We have to start again somewhere, and it's like a fruit. If you have an apple, and a portion of that apple is rotted, you can still eat that apple, but now you got to figure out how you're going to carve that rotted part out to preserve the whole apple. If not, at the end of the day, you got a whole rotten apple. And I'm afraid we are at that point now where a lot of that same crew that you mentioned, who they didn't go to Sunday school, they don't care about church neither Sunday school now. But now we have these youngsters, this new generation of Bahamians who is coming up. How do we extract them out of that environment to get them to save themselves?
That is the million-dollar question.
How do we do it? But it can be done, but there has to be an aggressive assault on the problem.
See, John Ferguson, Sunday afternoon, mommy drunk, daddy drunk, everybody drunk.
Yeah.
Okay? I have a friend who went around campaigning for political office. And he went into a home in the eastern end of the island. And daughter was pregnant, mommy was pregnant, and Grammy just had a baby.
Okay.
Okay?
That's a serious problem.
All living in the same house.
Okay.
Okay? You get it?
That's a serious problem. That's a problem. How do we fix that?
How you fix it?
Well,
Everybody
yeah,
pregnant.
yeah. Probably even the pets and all probably pregnant.
How
do
you gonna fix that?
That sounds like a house that needs to be re-educated. They need to be, somebody have to put the brakes on. Stop, that train have to stop. And when that is stopped, there has to be a new direction for all of them, because that's a serious social problem to the country.
Mr. Ferguson, I put it to you, sir, that the moralizing institutions in our society have failed the society. Grand failure. And you are dealing with the victims of grand failure in the society. I started out by talking about churches don't have Sunday schools, right?
Yeah.
Grand failure. All right?
But it's not too late to fix.
No, not too late to fix. But is there any real effort towards fixing the problem? You see, we from time to time, we have the narrative of what the problem is. We are able to elucidate very well on what the problems are in the society.
The will.
But the will to fix the problem. We've been talking in this country about National Youth Service, and we all agree that, oh, Sir Lyndon was on a good wicket here. It's a good thing he was trying to do, and we should really do it.
Yeah.
But where is the will? Where is the will by leaders in our society? Church leaders, political leaders, leaders in civil society, to really get the ball rolling and fix the problem. But we mourn and old people groan when there's another homicide.
Yeah.
There are a whole lot of grieving people in this country today.
Yes, I agree.
Okay?
Agreed.
But they know that Sunday school worked in the past.
Yeah. See, Mr. Jones, a lot of, again, and I have to focus on these young men, because they're the ones who are committing most of the serious crimes. The women are, you got some women involved, but they're not as prevalent as how the young men. So, which means we know that we have a problem with the young men. We have to now look at what we're doing with the young boys right now. Because in a few short years, when those 12-year-olds turn into 13s and 14s and 15-year-olds, we cannot be still to first base.
Yeah.
We haven't moved, because that crew now who is committing the stuff, they've moved on to another level.
But we have to also consider, Mr. Ferguson, that the times have changed. This is a new epoch that we are in. A new, not just a new era, but a new epoch.
Yes.
Because you have social media that has changed society and the world.
Yeah.
The negative influences that have come to bear on societies like the Bahamas by the internet and social media, by technology, the technological changes in the world have wreaked havoc in some communities. Technology is good and technology is bad. It depends on how you use
it. Yeah.
social media and technology.
Yeah.
And so leaders in communities and leaders in homes and parents, they're dealing with a new epoch, a new dispensation.
Yeah, I agree. And what has to happen now is it has to be redefined. It has to be, the way we do things now have to be retooled, so to speak.
Yes.
We have to retool our initiatives on how we're going to reach this technological generation who everybody got their ears plugged up, which means they can't even hear when a car horn blow. What is going on? How do we reach them now? How do we let them know that, hey, it's not old-fashioned to say, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. That's not old-fashioned.
Good manners is never
Good
old-fashioned.
manners is never old-fashioned.
Yes.
Being courteous.
Never go out of style.
Never go out of style. And I'm afraid that's a slide, too, that we have allowed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you cannot allow your children to say, come to you, say, you know, you call them, say, yeah, no. What happened to yes, sir? Yes, ma'am. I couldn't say that to my parents. My parents called me. I say, yeah. They call me again. Then I know what that means. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. But we allow these small things to slide. And after the sliding takes place, it begins to graduate because the youngsters, he could get away with that. The next thing he get away with coming in your house any hour of the day or night. Teenager. How could a 15-year-old be coming into your house 2 o'clock in the morning saying they been out some show or something? You already in your bed sleeping. A 15-year-old, 16-year-old just coming in 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't say nothing? Something wrong with that, Mr. Jones.
You know, Ronnie Butler gave me a story the other day, and I promised that I would use this from time to time. And he said that he was 16 and he was a mason helper. And his mother told him to be home by 10 o'clock. And this night he decided, so he was making £5.10,
yeah.
£5.10 a week. And this night he decided that he would stay out until 11 o'clock. And when he reached home, the door was closed, and he knocked on the door. His mother didn't open the house, the door. So he decided he would go under the house because the house was elevated to sleep. And he said in the middle of the night, the roaches and the rats started bothering him. And he decided to, well, he's going down on Mount Royal Avenue to Mr. McCartney's house in his garage. And he went there. And he said midnight the police came and he had shined the light on him. And he said, what are you doing here? He said, well, you know, my mother wouldn't let me in. So the police took him back to his mother's house and knocked on the door. And Mrs. Butler said, who's there? He said, police. You have a son by the name of Ronnie Butler? She said, yeah, but all of my children in the house. All of my children in their bed. And she meant telling the police that the police took him to the police station. The next morning, they took him to the police station, to the courts for vagrancy and loitering. And they fined him. He said when he walked out of the court, his mother was there with a tambourine switch. And she beat him from the court straight home. And he said he was never late again.
That's right.
All right? Now, that was an old-fashioned way of doing things. But he learned a lesson.
He learned a lesson.
He learned a lesson.
Yes, a good lesson.
And we have to start teaching our children.
You see,
some lessons, eh?
And in the technological age, it's easy, you know.
Yes.
All you have to do is tell your son or your daughter, no TV tonight.
Yes.
Unless,
just put down some rules.
Yeah, some rules. Unless you are going on the computer to do your homework, no computer tonight.
The rule is that you do not come in this house after 10 p.m.
And you stick by that.
And you stick by that. And when they come 11, as Ronnie Butler's mother did, the door was closed.
I agree. And you got to stick by that. You see, and you know, people say, well, and you know, during my policing career, working various functions, you see all of these young people out, youngsters out, after 12, at events that are really for mature adults. So you wonder where the parents are.
But Mr. Ferguson, the young people don't get ready to go to parties until midnight now.
Well,
in the midnight they're getting ready to go to party. And they 16, 17 and leaving parents' house at midnight to go to a party.
Well, who you think I blaming for that? The parents. My 16-year-old son can leave at 12 midnight to say he going, how you getting there?
I got to take a break. We got to take, do we break? Yes, okay, we take a break here and we'll come right back.